Hello, it's Stephen here, back with another video. The day after Manchester City's 2-0 victory over West Ham at the Etihad. A comfortable victory in the end, but there's still plenty of talking points from that game. So today, as always, is the case after a game. I'm going to run through 5 things that I personally took through that game, so make sure you stay tuned throughout the end of the video. Before I do that, I also want to say thank you to the stalwarts that are One Football, forever sponsoring my channel, forever being absolutely wonderful. So you want to support me, a Manchester City content creator, and I'd be really appreciated. I promise you. Go and download them in the link in the description. It's the best football app, bar none, on the market. It's free as well. All your stats, all your data, and loads of Manchester City goodness. And it comes endorsed by me. Trust me, please, trust me. Go download it right now. But today, we're going to dive into last night's game. Also, don't forget, this is the match reaction video, so you can go and watch that if you want to, then come back to this or whatever. But there's going to be loads of content going forward, so get used to watching plenty of videos with my face. But let's dive into the first thing that we learned from this game. Firstly, is the rhythm. We really needed that game. Guardiola talked a lot about how he was happy almost that the game was abandoned. Well, I was personally happy. I was on holiday, so I was glad that it happened while I was back at home. I know it wasn't great for fans, but he said for the team in general, it was really useful because he really feels that the team needed these games before the Real Madrid game. And I think it was largely evident, actually. Even though I thought the players were really professional and they worked really hard, I think there was still a little bit of rustiness. I thought we came out really sharp for the first 20-odd minutes, but eventually we did look a little bit plodding. And that's something that we've seen across the other games as well. We've seen other teams looking a little bit kind of like a little bit lost, especially last weekend, where the quality of football's dropped a tiny bit, which is understandable. It's going to happen. The footballers, you know, if you take them away from regular football, their sharpness will deteriorate a tiny bit. And I think we really needed that. And we got an important 90 minutes ahead of the Leicester game. I don't think Leicester would have been enough to prepare us for Real Madrid, given the context of the season. This game was good because now we can focus on any mistakes or anything that weren't quite right in this game, try and refine them against Leicester, then use that as another learning experience for Real Madrid. We were decent last night, but we definitely needed the rhythm. Also, we're going to talk about him, that man, Gabriel Jesus. Is he the answer? Now, I want to add the caveat that I really like Gabriel Jesus. Genuinely do. I think he's a fantastic player. I think he's got so much going for him. And I also have to add the caveat about the previous point. You know, it could just be that he struggled because he was looking a bit rusty. And he did look a bit rusty. He looked a lot slower than he usually does on the ball. One thing we can say about Gabriel Jesus is usually that his link-up play and his feet and his general teamwork is absolutely spot on. But he was a bit rusty overall last night, I thought, which could just be an indicator that, the break affected him. It could just be that. And it happens, the team weren't perfect, so maybe that was his reason. But I think there are some general doubts that he's not really this clinical striker. Is he the guy to step into Aguero's shoes long term? That's the big question. I would happily have him around the squad, but do I trust him to be the future Manchester City's goal-scoring needs? I don't know. You just never know. Sometimes you see a player, though, where they just kind of hit a hot streak and all of a sudden go from a relatively wayward striker to one who's absolutely clinical. And given the fact that he's already scored plenty of goals for Manchester City, maybe there's enough there that we really need to trust him a little bit because he's a good player. He's a fantastic player and he's young. And it is, you know, sometimes you just need to basically show a little bit of faith in the player. But having said that, the question marks are fair, especially when we see someone like Haaland banging them in with an almost ruthless nature. As I said last night in the video, you think, well, I would rather have that level of clinicism as opposed to worrying about someone who might not be able to do it who's a few years older. That's the question mark there, and it's a very, very fair one. As it is, I do believe we should trust him and show him faith, but the question marks are whether he's actually good enough to be as good as Aguero one day. That's a different story altogether, and a very fair one. Let me know in the comments what you think about that, of course. Thirdly, we kept a clean sheet. It was really nice, wasn't it? It was good just to see City largely look pretty solid defensively. I know West Ham were absolutely abject, but you can only cast your minds back to previous games where we've dominated the ball and we've been totally all-consuming and then conceded a sloppy goal. At times last night when we hadn't scored, I was thinking, it's going to happen soon, isn't it? They're going to score with their first chance of the game or whatever. But we were pretty solid. I think the Laporte factor is obviously a big one. I think Mendy as well was pretty solid defensively, and there's a couple of moments where Mendy was tracking back and did some good defensive work. And the physicality we've got on the left hand side now is I really like Zinchenko, I really like Angelino, but they're not physical players really. They're quite small, whereas Mendy is a bit of a beast. Laporte is obviously a beast as well, naturally defensively. So all of a sudden, that left side of defence is stronger. It's got very bright, by the way, so if it's got a bit overexposed, sorry. It got very bright outside as recording this video. Back to the video. But yeah, we've got like basically a stronger defence physically, and you could really tell last night that even Otamendi was benefiting from the port being alongside him. He looked a lot more assured, looked very comfortable on the ball as well, and it was just nice to see that actually see a game out and not have any defensive wobbles really. West Ham still have some good players going forward, and Declan Rice I thought was actually pretty good taking the ball forward for them. So they're going to create the odd half chance. But in general, they didn't really have a kind of a sniff at goal. And that was really, really nice. Fourth, we've got to talk about Kevin De Bruyne. Glasses are off for this one because Kevin De Bruyne... the KDB factor is a big factor. If we're going to get anywhere this season, it's probably going to be because of Kevin De Bruyne. Seriously, last night he was an absolute man possessed. He got his 16th Premier League assist of the season. I think that should have been 17, but I think he had one ruled out at some point. But either way, it wasn't just his assist that was impressive, because that's what we all come to associate with Kevin De Bruyne. It was intensity. It was his tenacity and his leadership. Last night, he really was a man possessed. He was running up and down the pitch constantly, to the point where I was getting a bit worried that he might even injure himself. I was like, please, Kev, take it easy, man. It's only West Ham. I don't want you kind of getting injured, because that's the kind of season we're having, the touch wood and all that. But he was fantastic, absolutely fantastic. He was really, really impressive. His work rate, his desire, and it's his technical ability that we all know he's got. It's fact that he can add goals and score goals and create goals and all that kind of stuff. Just absolutely mesmeric. And to me, that was a captain's performance. It was genuinely that good. Kevin De Bruyne is the kind of guy that I think is going to step up. I hope is going to step up and lead the team for the Real Madrid game, because if he turns up, we will create chances against Real Madrid, and we probably will score goals if he does turn up. And I've got no doubt that he'll be the one absolutely motivated. He'll be the one really trying to get the fire into Manchester City's players, because the performances last night show exactly why he is the best midfielder in the world. And I'm sorry, but I don't think anyone, there's no one getting close to him, in my humble opinion. He's the complete package. He can defend, he can tackle, he can run, he's strong, he can pass, he can score. What a player, what a fantastic player. On to hit another fantastic player, the Silva dilemma. Now, the reason I've said this is because it's a dilemma, because I absolutely love David Silva. I love him loads, and I thought last night he was pretty good. But the one thing we've got at the moment with David Silva's aging legs is that we are forced to play it a slightly different way. Last night, even though on paper it looked like it was going to be a 4-3-3, it was actually a lot more of a 4-4-2 when we had the ball and when we were defending and all that kind of stuff, especially when we were defending. And it was more like a midfield two of De Bruyne and Rodri, with Gabriel Jesus kind of defending on the left, just in front of Mendy. Then we had, obviously, Bernardo kind of on the right, and David Silva was right up there alongside Aguero. And the problem we've got with that is that he really hasn't got the energy, I guess, to kind of press in another way that we're more successful with. Teams really easily bypass our press when we're playing this shape, which is a shame, because we think of Manchester City under Guardiola at the very best, even a young David Silva a couple of years ago, a younger David Silva, I guess. City were full of intensity. We were full of energy with the press. You couldn't really get past us, but now we're quite easy to pass past. And that's because of the 4-4-2, really, I guess. It's like, it's a little bit easier. It's also, I think it's affecting... It's kind of like affecting our pace in the counter or the way we cut through, because when you've got Gabriel Jesus kind of dropping more as a left winger in front of Mendy, we've effectively only got two midfielders in the middle, given where David Silva is, and we haven't got that free kind of control in the midfield. And the shape allows basically, what makes it harder for us to kind of lightning fast counter attacks, and that's a bit of a shame, because I loved that trademark way that we had between 2017 and 19, and it feels like we're slowing down that kind of approach because of David Silva. Now, don't get me wrong, I love David Silva, and I thought he was good last night as well. But it is a bit of a dilemma. We are slightly changing how we play, in my humble opinion, because of David Silva's limitations, I guess. And that's kind of understandable. But it is something to consider, because I think we're more effective when we do press from the front. Like, for example, I really liked our press when we were playing 3-4-3 recently, but it doesn't seem to be possible with David Silva. So that's an issue there. But anyway, that is just 5 things that I personally took from the game. It was a decent game of football. It was a much needed game of football. We really needed to see City play some football again, given everything that's going on with UEFA and the financial fair play. And interestingly today, by the way, one of UEFA's members and the PSG president has been accused or charged with bribery in the Swiss courts, which is delightfully ironic, isn't it? Absolutely delightfully ironic that this guy is telling City that they're corrupt and dodgy. That'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Guys, let me know what you learned from the game. Don't forget as well that you can go and check out the video from last night, the match reaction, which will be on screen very, very shortly. And also, I've got a video coming up later, which is a bit of an announcement about the future of this channel. It's big. It's really, really big. Hopefully, it's all very good news. It is good news. But guys, pay attention to that. Like, comment, subscribe. Go and follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and all these stuff. And I'll see you every single day for a video. It's going to be that intense now. So subscribe and spread the word in a bit.